Please, Pilar.
Faf, obviously welcome back.
Thank you.
Tough tournament, 3 wins in the entire tournament. Just a small synopsis of what went wrong.
Okay, I'll try. Yeah, I think it's a complicated answer. To start right at the beginning, we never had an opportunity to play with our strongest team. Missing Dale, obviously we knew when we went there, you will miss the first probably 2 games, but we're ready for the game against India. Losing Lungi in the second match, so injuries was one part of it. The second part of it was the first week we didn't play our best cricket, and probably a roll-on effect from that first week playing 2 really strong teams in India and England, and losing to probably a team that we should beat, Bangladesh, really knocked the wind out of our sails. So that was a really tough start. And then we tried to come back into the tournament, try to fight, try to make sure we can get some performances going. But right throughout the tournament, there was a lack of consistency in our performances. We had small contributions from different guys through the tournament, but only really up until the last 2 games did we have huge impacts on players making performances. There wasn't a fifer from a bowler. Only 100 scored in the whole series. So those are the things if you look at the last 2 games almost as a blueprint, when you do those things, we win as well. We win games of cricket no matter how strong the opposition are. So as you rightly said, it was a very disappointing turnout for ourselves, especially being out of the competition earlier in the tournament that we wanted to. It would be nice to have ourselves a fighting chance right till the end. But also this tournament now is not the tournament it used to be. In the tournament you could play okay cricket, and I thought we did that in the previous World Cup. We played okay. We also lost to India, we also lost to Pakistan, we also lost to Australia, but you had 2 more opportunities in terms of the quarterfinal. Now if you're not on top of your game, which we weren't, we shouldn't be making the semi-finals. So extremely disappointed sitting here, but at least the last 2 games we proved to our fans the type of cricket that we can play, and I'm very proud as a captain to say that, because it is very easy for a team when they've been on the ropes for so long on a tough tournament just to fall away and go and disappear, and we didn't do that. We stood up and we played some really good games of cricket. So yeah, that puts a small smile on my face.
Just on the tournament itself, and the format, there were a lot of cries when the ICC did say that it would be a 10-team tournament, about the other teams not being able to participate in the ICC World Cup. Do you feel this format is the right one and the one that makes for competitive cricket?
It's a tougher competition, definitely. So probably the answer to that would be yes. I thought previous World Cup we beat Ireland, Zimbabwe, and West Indies in our 3-round robin games. So it's easier to get. From a South African point of view, I would probably say leave it to the 8 teams, because it gives you another crack at getting to that quarterfinal stage. But this is a ruthless tournament. So I think in terms of watching it, it's probably a better structure.
Morning, Faf, and
Morning.
welcome back to the whole team. You speak of the first week and how difficult it was at the World Cup and the 2 teams that you faced who were favourites. And obviously in how you voiced out how difficult it was for you as a captain. How difficult was it to reach out to some of the experienced players in the side who were also struggling to sort of get runs, and obviously with the mixture that you want of youth and experience, how difficult was it to tap into?
No, that's a great question, because that is a reality that we did face as a team. Obviously being the captain of the team, I take most of the responsibility on my own shoulders, so that was weighing on me, but also some of the other senior players were probably low on runs and not doing as well as they would have liked. And naturally what happens to anyone when they a little bit low in confidence is it is harder to be at the forefront and making sure you're leading as well as you would like. So that was something we spoke about as a team on that side, to make sure that the more senior and experienced players to make sure that they contribute off the field, keep making sure that there's a support system for me in place as well to share the load, and that's what we're there for as a team, trying to share the load. But it was something that we faced as a team, and we spoke about it, and the guys did try.
You've got quite an appetite when you come up against Australia. That time with the celebration, I'm sure it must have meant a lot to you and the World Cup to wrap it up like that.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, leaving the shores there yesterday, that the emotion of that was just purely on me. Having to lead from the front as captain, I have to score hundreds as well if I'm talking about scoring hundreds. And I batted really well throughout the competition, but it was a frustration for me that I couldn't put more big scores on the board. Obviously, I know that it's not possible that I'm going to win every game, but it shows that if one batter bats through, we are putting ourselves in a position of winning. In the last two games, for myself, it was nice to be there and see the team through to get the win for the team. But that was just when we spoke so much about batters putting their hand up. So that was just me, the emotion of been trying to do it the whole competition and then finally getting it.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Obviously, the batting has come under a lot of pressure over the past year, 18 months or so. As the captain, or as a big part of the batting or top order. When you guys left, there was always a feeling that the runs, even though were not coming for some of our top order batsmen, were going to come, hopefully at the World Cup, especially with Ash and Aiden. The runs did not come, and we find ourselves where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Would you say, has it become now an emergency or an urgent thing for the batsmen to get their acts together and those runs on the board?
Yeah, first of all, I think when we left, we as the Brains Trust understood that we didn't have the strongest batting lineup in the world of cricket. When it comes to names on paper, we thought we had the best bowling attack, and that was the one thing that we spoke of, that we knew. We knew our limitations and we knew our strengths as a team. And obviously, the last year, consistency from a batting unit hasn't been there. So that's why I'm saying our hopes wasn't on us putting on 350 every game as a batting unit. Our hopes was on bowling teams out for 280 and then chasing it down. And that happened at the World Cup. As you say, there was a lot of talk about the batting, but losing Dale and probably Lungi not being in his best from a fitness point of view meant that in that first 6 or so games we chased 300 plus, or the team got 300 plus almost in every game. The thing that is obvious to me that in the chase in the World Cup, all the teams that have got 320, 330 plus, it was difficult to chase. When you got a lower score, then it was a little bit easier. It's all runs on the board in a big game does make a difference. So we understood that. Obviously, in a perfect world, you want more of your batters contributing. Over the last 12 months or so, Quinton has done really well. Rassi has done very well, and then obviously I've also scored some runs. But as a collective top 6, we need to be performing better if you want to win games with the bat as well. We knew that our bowling was going to do that, but as soon as we lost those injuries, our team was a team of trying to put a team of balance together, and that showed that we did a good job. Even someone like Chris Morris, who wasn't part of the initial plans, purely from our tactics point of view, we had so many X-factor bowlers, we didn't need another one. The fact that we lost our bowlers meant that Murray came in and he did brilliantly. So unfortunately, that was at the expense of Dwayne Proteas, who's been really good for us over the last year. But that's the challenges that we faced from a selection point of view.
On the way forward, a lot has been said, of course, about potential changes, not only to the national team, but to some players who might leave international cricket.
Yeah.
Yourself, have you considered your future? You've always said that once the day you lose that passion and the drive to play for your country, you might go on retirement.
Yeah.
Does that cross your mind?
So naturally what will happen, obviously, with the first part of the question is the fact that 2 or 3 guys are retiring, and then so I always find that after a World Cup like this, there's probably about 4 or 5 changes anyway, because most of the guys are a little bit older. So I think you will see that in the one-day team, probably 4 or 5 new faces the next time, or a new team the next time the one-day side play, because there needs to be some sort of looking forward to the next 4 years and the planning of that. But also within that you need to have some players around them, because otherwise that learning period takes so much longer, and that phase of in between can become really tricky. So that's obviously, from a Proteas point of view, it's important that we do have experienced players around to help the younger guys. And then personally, as I said in the press conference on that side, it was just a case for me where I said that, winning the World Cup or losing the World Cup, after the World Cup, I would sit down and just rethink where am I going, what am I doing, what is my purpose, what is my plans, how long am I seeing myself playing for South Africa, how long do I need to look at maybe perhaps playing T20 leagues around the world. Those are all things that I need to consider over the next while, and we'll have good discussions with all the right people about that. But right now I'm still sitting here with a lot of passion for the Proteas. I'm extremely motivated still. I love captaining this team. That has been my purpose for the last year, more than anything, more than my batting, more than tournaments away from the Proteas. That has been the motivating factor for me. So obviously I'm hurt as well. Like I said, I carry the responsibility on my shoulders as well. So that's why, no, it's not necessary now to make decisions, because you're probably a little bit emotional, but time will heal everything, and in 2 or 3 weeks' time I'll be fresher again. Obviously having moved on from the disappointment of the World Cup, but then just seeing where it all fits in going forward.
Welkom terug. Ik heb een korte vraag van het Afrikaans. Ter opsomming, ja, maar dat het nu doen. Achter. Ter opsomming, kan je ons zeggen, hoe verwacht je van Zuid-Afrikaners, die aanhangers, ik zie toevallig jullie toch heel wat aanhangers hier jullie gearriveerd. Hoe verwacht jullie Zuid-Afrikaners moet jullie vertoning interpreteren? Wil jullie mensen met zachtens met jullie wees, of wat mensen ook baie openlijk en ernstig met jullie wees? En wat is dat voorontwikkeling nou? Voor die volgende 5 jaar denk je, Zuid-Afrika kan weer aanspraak maken op dat titel.
Het is wel translate. Alles van die beste wel.
Ja, hij is groter Afrikaans dan het ek ken. Oké, laat ik beginnen. Wat is die eerste deel? Die fans. Ja, die fans het elke reg om te voel soos wat hulle voel. Ons as 'n span voel presies dieselfde emosies. Ons gaan deur dieselfde goed. Disappointment, hurt, embarrassment, goeders, ek weet nie wat daar in Afrikaans is nie. So dit is normaal om so te voel, ons voel presies dieselfde. So ek, as 'n span en as kaptein kan ek net jammer sê dat ons nie die standaarde van die span gekry het nie, wat ons uitgesit het om te taal regkry in die wêreldbeker. Maar wat ek voorop sal sê is, vir my is dit belangrik dat enige Suid-Afrikaanse span met altyd net alles gee. Dis al wat ek kan vra as kaptein. Dis al wat jy regtig soek in jou span. Obviously is ons 'n land wat wil wen. Ons gaan altyd 'n land wees wat wil wen. Ons gaan nooit tevrede wees met tweede beste, derde beste nie. Ons het baie hoë standaarde as 'n land, en ons is span het presies dieselfde standaarde. So ja, wees kwaad, wees emosioneel, wees bly dat ons Australië gewen het die laaste game, en dit was 'n groot wedstryd. Was min dinge lekkerder vir ons as 'n nasie om Australië te wen, maak nie saak of dit klaar uit is nie. En dan beweeg aan met tyd en support die span weer. Soos ek sê, die span ons het alles gegee. Die ouens is emosioneel en fisies as hulle tanks leeg, want ons het daar toe waar die ouens alles gegee het. En dit is al wat ek kan sê, ons probeer het. Die resultate was nie bra nie, maar dit was nie van 'n lack of trying. Tweede deel?
Dink jy julle kan weer aanspraak maak op my titel met volgende wêreldbeker?
Ja, kyk, ons baie dinge wat moet gebeur vir om 'n span te wees wat jouself in daai posisie sit om die beste om potensieel 'n wêreldbeker te wen. Volgende wêreldbeker is in India. Wat is nodig om in India te wen? Jy het 'n golf span nodig wat baie goed is teen spin. So natuurlik gaan jou Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, al daai spanne gaan goeie spanne wees op daai toernooie. So die volgende 4 jaar in terms van preparation vir golfers, vir spin veral gaan 'n groot deel speel. En dan as 'n bowler attack, ek dink dieselfde ding wat in Engeland nou gebeur het, mense het altyd spoed nodig. Spoed is baie belangrik. Solank ons vinnige bowlers het wat 145, 150 gaan bowl, gee jouself 'n kans. Dis hoekom ons praat baie van Dale en van KG en die ouens wat obviously nie beesvolle sou wees nie, maar iemand soos Andrej Norkeer was ons backup plan gewees vir spoed, want hy bowl amper 150 kilos 'n uur en hy doen presies wat iemand soos Jeffrey Archer vir Engeland doen. Sulke ouens is ook belangrik, want hulle het nog nie baie gespeel nie, maar hulle het iets wat die ouens nog nie gesien het nie. So ja, ek dink dit sal bietjie anders wees in terme van planning. Maar er is definitief genoeg talent in ons land. Jy kan dit sien, die Mzansi League is 'n great ding vir die toekoms van cricket in Suid-Afrika. Dit is baie belangrik dat daar ander jong spelers deurkom. Ek dink my sien dit reg rondom die wêreld, die effek wat dit het. India, die IPL, Big Bash, Australië, die ouens kom deur, selfs Bangladesh se T20 het hulle nou 'n span gemaak wat 'n baie goeie span is. So dis 'n baie belangrike investment vir cricket Suid-Afrika.
It's the last 3, please. Tando Stewart and Masanzi.
Faf, just a quick one, mate. How important was the toss? Never mind the weather. We saw the first couple of games, and I think that's where we started to see that it's quite important to be, to select whether to bowl or bat first, and then looking at the conditions. But it seems like we obviously were leaning on our bowling attack. Did we go there knowing very well that our batting attack will not probably be able to stand up to some of the bowlers across the world?
I think the toss has played a effect, but I think sometimes your decision you make at a toss is very dependent on the selection of the team that you have.
Yeah.
And we didn't always have the luxury of having one thing that's very strong, batting or bowling. And then your decision gets determined by what is your strengths on the day, and then you've got to try and make do with what you've got. But even I remember specifically the toss against Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Would I change it now? Probably yes, I would, because I did feel like batting was also, there was a lot of discussions going on. Batting was a great option, but it showed that when you played Sri Lanka and who was the other team we defended to chase the score? Anyway, Afghanistan, 2 subcontinent teams. When you do bowl first against them, and you do get them 280, 260, 250, then it's actually very easy to chase down the score. But when they get a big score on the target, on the board, then you're a little bit under trouble, because then they've got their spinners through the middle. So our plans was always strong bowling attack, extra pace in Morris, pace and bounce in the over wicket, try and bowl them out for 250, morning start. All the local people are saying, in Surrey, morning toss, 10:30 game, you have to bowl first. So we perhaps should have listened more to what, the gut that we felt, or possibly then to the local people there. But even with the toss there, we bowled very averagely. So I could have won 15 tosses in a row and choose everything that I wanted to do, but it always comes down to the skill that you produce on whatever you do first. So yes, that in my mind, that was always at the back of my mind, at the toss, what is our strength today? And then you try and work with that a little bit. The last 2 games, we probably had a longer batting lineup, so then you can say, well, actually our batting lineup is a little bit longer, so we can chase them. Whereas before, our batting was our strength, so you want to defend with the ball a little bit more. So, but it's a 50-50 thing. It's not that big of a deal.
Faf, I just want to take you back to something before the tournament started. They placed a lot of emphasis on, and that was the mindset of the team. I know hindsight is an exact science, but you wanted everybody to be quite relaxed. We spoke about not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the Bangladesh game, for instance, it looked like the team's mentality had gone too far the one way, that it was too relaxed. Looking at it now over the course of time, do you think that perhaps you got that a little bit wrong, and that you would have pushed for more intensity from the beginning?
I think, it's a fair question. I think the context of the mindset is where the difference comes. The context of the mindset is was meant to be for when there's a lot of pressure on us as a team, to not feel overwhelmed by the situation that is in front of you. To not look at it as this, if you lose this game right now, you're going to die, the world's going to finish. Like, don't put that extra pressure on yourself. So that's the context of that mindset, going into a World Cup where there's more pressure. By no means ever, absolutely never, do we as a team, and especially me as a captain, go into the field with a chilled, relaxed, it's just cruise through the motions here today, brew, it doesn't work like that. That's not the way that I captain. My biggest things are always body language, intensity. That's an absolute non-negotiable. But looking back at that game, looking back at that first week, yes, there was times when the team was a little bit casual, and that was the chat that we had after the Bangladesh game. That why is it in that game? Why is our body language not as good as we need it to be? Is it a comfort zone thing because you're playing against a team that is less favourite in the world of cricket? So possibly that game we were not our best in that regard, but I can tell you it's got nothing to do with the mindset of being calm and composed and relaxing your mind. There's always, from a body language point of view, that's never acceptable.
But if possible, sorry, that the team may have gotten that a bit wrong on. You were clear on it, some of the other players may not have been clear on it.
Yeah, I suppose, yes. But I think that's and as a player yourself, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. When you walk out playing a game for the Proteas, you should never walk onto the field with that mindset anyway. So if you're doing that, then the finger is pointing right back at you as a player. So there was guys that would have had that hard look in the mirror with themselves because they weren't where they needed to be. And they tried to rectify it the next game against India, which I thought in the India match, there was a huge amount of intensity and fight. When we bowled second, we just didn't have enough runs. We were 20-30 runs short on the day.
It's last time, please.
With regards to changes that are going to happen going forward because of a few senior players stepping aside, will you guys really consider giving or looking deeper into the issue of Temba and Dean into this ODI side? Because these two guys have repeatedly said that they want to give this format a shot.
Everyone comes into contention now, and as I said, there's 3 or 4 players that's probably moving on. Right now at the top of my head, someone like Reece Hendricks is another player that's done well. It's open debating. He's a younger player, someone like that. Aiden Markram hasn't been playing all the time. He hasn't been an established player, so there's already 2 names. And then you look at all the other players in the country, who's going to fill JP's position? Who's the best guys? Who's the best options for that? So I mean, that is now it's open season for whoever is putting their hand up in terms of performance. If they do that, obviously, Temba has done signs of it. Temba has improved a lot, I think, as a white ball cricketer. I think initially, his style of play was more suited to Test cricket. But he's shown last year in the T20 tournament when he performed, he scored 100 in that. So he's putting his hand up and he's saying, pick me. So there would be probably 3 or 4 names that is now probably going to come into the one-day team. But to be honest with you, we haven't had those chats yet because there's a lot that needs to happen probably before we get to who's the next one-day team. So yeah, they will be obviously players that will be on the table for team selection.
Thank you very much.